So, who doesn't have a heap of scraps in the corner of their sewing room? Now, this is just a moderate heap of scraps, but today we're going to show you how to make a cute little Thanksgiving table runner or bed quilt if you have a lot of scraps for you today. We're going to divide them into a light and a contrast. You can make them more monochromatic if you want to. You can use whatever you have, but today this is what I dug out of our bin. So today we're going to get started by cutting these scraps at 3 by 6 or thereabouts. It could be a little bit bigger, but 3 by 6 would be the best. So this is 6 inches, and now I'm going to trim it down to 3, and we're going to cut a whole variety of scraps this size. Now, of course, you can make them any size you want, but today we want to have a 4.5 by 2.5 inch finished rectangle to sew. Okay, so here we go, another 3 by 6. Okay, and the next step that we're going to talk about is prepping your rectangles. So I have a pile of neutrals and some, contrasting fabric here that's ready to go. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to mark on my neutrals, and I'm going to mark on the back of my neutral piece. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our handy dandy mechanical pencil here and mark from the point to the point. So just one nice, because this is on the back. Okay, now I'm going to take my little ruler that I can see my 1/4 inch a little bit better, and I'm probably going to make this a little bit scant, okay, because that pencil line is taking up some space. So I'm going to mark it and then mark the other sewing line. So the first line from corner to corner is our cut line. The second line is our sewing line, okay? So we have it just like that. Then I'm gonna take my contrasting fabric, and most of us would think that we're gonna lay it down like this, but you don't. If you lay it like this, you're gonna get a kite instead of a half rectangle. So what you're going to do is you're going to take this point and match it up with this side, and this point and match it up with this side, and prep them so that they're ready to sew. Okay? Okay, so today we're here working with our Efina thread on top, and I also have it wound in the bobbin. I am using an 80-12 needle. And I also want to remind everybody, when you're using the Efina, the 628 thread, I want you to go down to a 1.8 on your sewing machine. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So we're at 1.8, and my needle is in the needle down position. Okay, let's get started. Okay, I put my little thread pig in, so I'm ready to go. Okay, and I just wanted to point out that we're going to place this corner right here and right here. This is the cut line, and these two are your 1/4 inch sew lines. I'm gonna do a slight scant 1/4 inch today. And you can continue to chain piece all the rest of your pieces here. Okay, now we're ready to trim up the blocks. So I'm just going to cut along that middle line. Once we have all of our half rectangles here, we're going to do a quick press. Make sure that you get that seam nice and flat. And I got this pretty orange one. And I usually press to the dark or the printed side. And you'll find that you're going to get a really nice flat seam with the Efina top and bottom. Okay, once we have that done, I am going to show you how to trim up these half rectangles. So now we need to have them cut at 2.5 by 4.5. So I made these cute little half rectangle freezer paper templates that I am going to lay on top of our rectangle here. So at this point we need to match here and here. You can lightly tap this on with your iron, just enough to hold it. And now I'm going to take my 4.5-inch ruler. I'm going to square that up there. And I'm just going to trim this. Okay, and just trim it up. So there we go. It's 2.5 by 4.5, and we're going to continue until we have cut all 36 pieces. Okay, one thing you need to note once you have your pieces trimmed up, you are going to have about 1/8 of an inch here and 1/8 of an inch here. You do not want to trim this to the corner. If you trim that to the corner, you're not going to have your 1/4 inch and you'll be cutting off all your points. Okay, so when we piece these together, which I'll show you how to piece now, you make sure that you do not trim that up. That is exactly 2.5 by 4.5. Okay, so you'll have 1/8 of an inch here and you'll have an extra 1/8 of an inch here from those 2 points. We are going to have some facing right and we're going to have some that face the other way. Okay. Okay, now I'm ready to sew the very first row together. So here we go. I'll take my next 2. So then I'm going to take my first 4 and sew those together. And then I'm going to sew my last 2 on. So I got 2, 4, and then 6. And here is my first row together. Okay, so now we have our quilt top, our batting, and our backing. And because it's cotton, I have just layered them together. And right now I'm just going to stitch in the ditch, do something really simple to get this together. When I get close to my piece, I'm just going to make sure that I have my seam allowance. And here we go. And I'm just going to smooth it out as I go. Okay, row 1 done. Row 2. Okay, now that I have just stitched in the ditch really quickly, I am just going to trim up my table runner to put the binding on. Okay. Now this is all trimmed up, and I'm just going to cut my binding. Now I'm going to sew on the diagonal here. And then I will press this in half, and then I'll sew it onto my table runner. So I'm going to leave a gap, and we're going to press it, sew it really quickly at 1/4 of an inch. Once you come up to the edge of your table runner, to do my mitered corner, I'm just going to stitch it out. Okay, needle up. And then I'm going to miter this and stitch down the rest of my binding. Okay, so now I'm just going to flip my miter over, and then I will press this down like this, so you have a nice mitered corner, and then you can either machine stitch the back or hand sew it down. And that will be the table runner completed. There is a cute little rectangular table runner. These are 2x4 finished, so you can make your little table runner as big or as small as you want. So here's one option out of our scrap bin, and then this is option 2. I did make it a little bit larger, so I used the half rectangles here. They're the same, and then I did the little diamonds here, and then this one's just a little bit larger. Hopefully you can use one of these, make it up super quick for your Thanksgiving table. Have fun, and let us know how it went. And if you could post it on social media, that would be even more awesome. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks for watching. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more great tips, tricks, and tutorials. You can also sign up for our weekly newsletter to get the first look at free projects, sewing tips, and inspiring tutorials delivered right to your inbox. Check out the description box below to sign up, as well as find a list of stores and retailers that you can purchase WonderFil threads from in your country.